Of a South LA family with ties to Scientology and the Nation of Islam will stand trial in a case the prosecutors say ripped off California taxpayers to the tune of $3.8 million. Today, a judge determined there is enough evidence against the mother, Hanan Islam, and two of her adult daughters and a son. They are accused of running a scheme to defraud Medi-Cal by recruiting local high school students for drug counseling that the students did not want or need at a Scientology Narconon clinic in Compton. A prosecutor says the family members hired so-called ghostwriters to manufacture records that were used to fraudulently bill the state millions of dollars. All defendants have pleaded not guilty.
What's going on, guys? It's your girl Angie Snatch from Snatch Investigations, coming at you with another episode of An Unbiased Truth. Welcome back to the Snatch Gang, and welcome to all my new subscribers. Today we're going to talk about the state of California versus Ronnie RIZZA Islam. So RIZZA Islam, along with his mom Hanan and two sisters and employees of the World Literacy Crusade and American Health and Education Centers, were charged with medical billing fraud in the amount of $3.8 million to Medi-Cal, which is California's medical insurance program. Now, both World Literacy Crusade and American Health and Education clinics are located in Compton, California. But this case has a rabbit hole that goes deep. And at the end of this investigation, you will see that it has less to do with the defendant's ties to the Nation of Islam, but more so their affiliation with Scientology and using their facilities to teach the doctrine of L. Ron Hubbard, who is the founder of Scientology. Now, American Health and Education Clinics was founded by Hanan Islam, RIZZA's mom, who you see on the left side of your screen, and World Literacy Crusade was founded by Reverend Alfredi Johnson. Now, Reverend Alfredi Johnson, he purports to be a Baptist reverend, though his services are held in a Scientologist facility. He is a very popular figure in Scientology because he is credited with bringing in the minister Louis Farrakhan as well as Tony Muhammad. It is said that when Louis Farrakhan was battling cancer, he was introduced to Dianetics. He felt like it saved his life, and then that's when he issued that doctrine for members of the Nation of Islam to also look into or at least take courses in Dianetics. Now, I want to play this video for you of Hanan Islam, who was the president of World Literacy Crusade at the time, explaining what the organization does.
I'm Dr. Hanan Islam. I'm the Executive Director of World Literacy Crusade International, and I am the CEO and founder of American Health and Education Clinics. I'm a mother, and it's devastating to find out that your child, who you have birthed and raised and, nurtured through sick days and prayed for and laughed with and all of that stuff, is now doing drugs. And as a parent, it's trying to figure out what the heck happened. Well, we have such a huge success rate at getting our parents and our students back into communication, because that's a big thing. What we do is a very holistic, very naturopathic way. We use vitamins, we use exercise, minerals, and that's how we get a person off drugs. It's easy to take a kid, put him in a sauna, sweat out all the drug residues so that he's not constantly re-stimulated and wanting to use drugs. But then we have to deal with what made it okay for you to deliver mind-altering toxic chemicals into your system. What was it that was so difficult for you to confront in the first place that was the out that you chose? So then that's where the real work begins, and that happens in a course room with that individual. What we do is every single student has an individualized technical program that addresses the issues that they originate. need to be taken care of, that caused them to go down the path that they went down. And then they work that program on a systematic, step by step basis. And they have their own realizations and their own cognitions, and they make their own decisions to change based on that.
Before I get into the actual arrest document, I want to point this out. Not only is Reverend Alfredi Johnson a very popular figure in Scientology, credited with bringing in Louis Farrakhan, Tony Muhammad, and the Nation of Islam, as well as being the founder of the World Literacy Crusade, he is also RIZZA's father. So Hanan is RIZZA's mother, and Reverend Alfredi is RIZZA's father. So RIZZA actually was raised in Scientology, and after that NOI merged with Scientology, or not merge, I would say affiliation, niceties between the NOI and Scientology, then RIZZA Islam converts to Islam, which we'll get into that in another episode, how I feel about that conversion. I'm going to be doing an interview with a journalist by the name of Tony Ortega, and he is a former Scientologist, and his whole life's purpose has been to expose the practices of this Scientology cult. Now, I wanted to discuss with him the agenda of Scientologists to infiltrate the black community and when that shift occurred and how Reverend Alfredi honestly helped to facilitate that. So let's get into the actual arrest document. I'm going to pull it up. Okay, what you see in front of you is the actual warrant issued on October 20th, 2015. Now, what they're being charged stems back from 2010 to 2013 for Hanan, and I believe for RIZZA it's 2012 through 2013. We'll be sure after reading these documents. As you can see, Kamala Harris was the Attorney General at the time. It came through her office, the Bureau of Medi-Cal Fraud and Elder Abuse. I do want to say how this all came about was in 2014, CNN did an expose on medical insurance fraud, specifically in California. They showed the different irregularities and that there was no regulations of these rehab facilities, nursing homes. I mean, it was an entire expose. Now, this put a flashlight on rehab facilities as World Literacy Crusade had started to engage in. They were initially only defunded. What happened was Hanan made so much noise. Instead of going quietly, she made so much noise, which put a spotlight on her and made them scrutinize the records of World Literacy Crusade and actually raid their offices. So, the people of the state of California hereby allege that in the county of Los Angeles, state of California, and before the making or filing of the complaint, the above mentioned defendant did commit the following crimes. Count 1. Presenting false Medi-Cal claims. From on or about March 1st, 2012 through September 30th, 2013 in the county of Los Angeles, state of California, defendants Ronnie Stephen Risa Islam, Namat Islam, and George Edward Newby III, with intent to defraud, executed a scheme or artifice to defraud the Medi-Cal program in violation of Section 14107, Subdivision B4 of the Welfare and Institutions Code, a felony. Count 2. Insurance fraud. From on or about March 1st, 2012 through September 30th, 2013 in the county of Los Angeles, state of California, defendants Ronnie Stephen Risa Islam, Namat Islam, and George Edward Newby III assisted, prepared, and made a written statement that was intended to be presented to an insurer in connection with and in support of a claim and payment pursuant to an insurance policy, knowing that the statement contained false and misleading information concerning a material fact in violation of Section 550B2 of the Penal Code, a felony. And then you see the declaration. So let me explain what they're alleging happened here. So, Hanan supposedly, and these educators, some educators have already pled guilty. She recruited two principals, educators, and coaches in the Compton Unified School District, specifically Dominguez High School. One principal was paid up to $60,000 for access to the students. So what would happen, the principal would order the students to sit in a class. They didn't know why they were going to this class. They just know that the principal said that they had to go. In some cases, the coach said that they had to attend these classes. These classes would be 1 hour and they would be taught by RIZZA. He would show films of drug treatment, the Narconon program, as well as other L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology, Dianetics videos. And these students didn't know why they were there, but when they entered the room, they would have to fill out a sign-in sheet. According to the Department of Justice, those sign-in sheets would then go back to the AHEC, the American Health and Education Clinic, and they would create a fictional treatment plan and then bill Medi-Cal for 3 hours, and then also additionally bill them for progress reports that were created. So they would allegedly bill the state $6,000 each time RIZZA came to teach or show that 1 hour, 55-minute or so video. They also billed the state for each employee that took the class. So the employees also had to take the class. They would bill the state $15,000 for each employee. So what is alleged is that from 2010 to 2013, they billed the state for a total of $3.8 million. All of the films that were shown to the students dealt with Scientology. Now, what the prosecutors are saying in this case is that they have educators that have already pled guilty, and that they also have those ghostwriters that they had fill out some of those forms that are willing to testify as well. Now, as I said, she was initially only defunded, but once they raided World Literacy Crusade, they were able to gain access to those documents. Now, this isn't the first time that World Literacy Crusade, that's like a tongue twister for me. World Literacy Crusade. Okay. This isn't the first time that World Literacy Crusade had been in hot water with the government. So in 2008, the Los Angeles Times ran a story where World Literacy Crusade, they defrauded 250 residents in Compton. What they did was they were selling housing vouchers. Now, you already know that housing vouchers aren't for sale. Usually, a person can go through a program or they're waiting on a list for this. But here comes this organization, World Literacy Crusade, that tells these people for $1,500 you can get a voucher. 250 people actually took them up on that offer as a great opportunity in their mind to get their children out of this bad environment. How they got caught was that those 250 people then went out to search for homes and apartments. Upon approval, they would then give the voucher to the landlord. When the landlord went back to check, those vouchers were invalid. They didn't exist at all. Now, that's what I wanted to talk to Tony about as well, because in the black community, RIZZA is seen as a member of the Nation of Islam, but in the Scientologist community, he is seen as the son of Reverend Alfredi Johnson, and that he is being groomed to take up his father's torch and continue to be that bridge between the Nation of Islam and Scientology. Do they just call it Scientology? Yeah, Scientology. For him to be that bridge between the two. Now, this case took a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns, and they have their pretrial hearing that will be coming up. But I will also have a special guest that was in the previous hearings, because one of the things that RIZZA and his mom argued at some point, but then they abandoned it, was that they were sovereign citizens. So what they did was they came into court and they refused to acknowledge their name. So a court proceeding couldn't even start at that point, because one of the first things you say is state your name for the record. Are you such and such? You're being charged with this. The court can't formally charge you until you admit that, yes, I am the person that is listed on this document. That's something that they said that they were not. They said that they could fire the judge. They actually wrote a letter to the judge to fire the judge, and the judge put them in jail for 5 days. They came back, abandoned the whole sovereign citizen thing, and now we're gearing up for the pretrial. Now, I have the minutes and the transcripts, but I wanted to at least lay the foundation of what this case was about. So there you have it. Ronnie Risa Islam, his mom, his two siblings, as well as other employees at the World Literacy Crusade and American Health and Education Clinic, are being charged with fraud against the Medi-Cal California Medical Insurance Program in the amount of $3.8 million. If you're looking for this case, it's very difficult to find because, as I said before, it is considered a Scientology case. It is considered a case when, yet again, this Narcanon program, who my guest is going to speak about more when I get them on, this Narcanon program that is sponsored by the Scientologist movement, that many people have been hurt through this program, because allegedly part of the program is that they give them high doses of vitamins and they sit in saunas for hours. But not every addiction that is a remedy for. But on top of that, in this case, they targeted high school students that didn't even have a drug problem. So, for all my parents out there, and this is not to judge them per se, because innocent until proven guilty, but for all my parents out there, make sure that you stay on top of these coaches, these principals, these teachers, just like we do these healthcare professionals. Because just because a person has a degree and they're sitting in that position of power, that doesn't mean all the time that they have the best intentions for your children. Because here were these school educators putting these children in classes about drugs and Scientology, things they didn't need, all because they wanted kickbacks to fill their pockets. So we'll see how this case goes. You guys let me know what you think. I just wanted to make sure I brought it to you. It's your girl, Angie Snatch.